There was an opening night at a local restaurant, and so it was a very busy event and lots of people were out.
It's just after midnight on the 16th of March. Two young Muslim men have just left a restaurant during Ramadan in Underwood, south of Brisbane.
They were walking back to their car. There was a ute and sort of made like a U-turn and then parked in front of them and waited on the side of the road until they came past.
They're unaware there is a gunman inside the ute.
He drove and shot at the young men and he missed. He screeched his car to a halt and then reversed. And then that's when he fired more shots at them, and he shot my son in the left side of his back.
The victim's father, Shibli Mustafa, had been with his son less than an hour earlier. He raced back to the scene after receiving a call that his son had been shot.
The paramedic at the ambulance told me that I couldn't see him yet because they were still doing more tests and they wanted to do a scan to make sure that he wasn't bleeding internally.
How scary was that moment for you?
Yeah, that was probably one of the scariest moments of my life, not knowing what was happening to my son, not knowing if he was going to make it through.
Shibli's son survived with no long-lasting injuries, but wants to move on with his life and doesn't want to speak about it. An X-ray showed the bullet had come dangerously close to the 20-year-old's vital organs. Relieved by the news his son was stable, Shibli's focus turned to wanting information from the police.
I said, I just want to make sure that the right level of investigation is going into this. And like, are you investigating this as a hate crime? Are you investigating as a potential act of terror? You know, my son was out during Ramadan and he was visibly dressed as a Muslim and he was shot at.
For 2 days, Queensland Police didn't comment publicly about the shooting. During this time, rumours about the motivation spread among some in the Islamic community.
When a Muslim youth is shot in what is clearly a hate attack, a targeted hate attack, silence, deafening silence.
There were lots of assumptions being made by several community members that this must have been a hate crime for several reasons. It was on the anniversary of the Christchurch massacre with the shooting that happened in the mosque, and I felt like I had to sort of be this like voice of reason to the community to say, look, we don't know yet, and the police haven't given us that evidence to say that that is the case.
The community's fear isn't unfounded. According to the Islamophobia in Australia report, between January 2023 and November 2024, there were 309 reports of Islamophobic incidents, including verbal harassment and physical assault across the country. 38 of those occurred in Queensland.
Our thoughts are absolutely with the victim, the witnesses and the family in this matter, and we're offering as much support as possible to them.
The Queensland Police gave their first press conference on Tuesday the 18th of March, after a meeting with Shibli and his son who was shot.
There is no evidence at hand at this time to say that this particular incident was targeted at any individual or any particular ethnic, racial or cultural group.
That afternoon, a 23-year-old was arrested and charged with 3 counts of grievous bodily harm. Chief Superintendent Mel Adams says police understand why hosting a press conference was important to the community, but they chose not to make public comments earlier because it could have interfered with the investigation.
I have 2 priorities in my role, and that is community safety, and the community also feels safe. So in terms of that first priority, our imperative was to arrest that offender, and that was our focus, and we won't compromise that in any way. So our cross-cultural liaison unit went out to every mosque in the district. We also had an engagement at a senior level by several senior officers with key players in the community, and also within our multicultural affairs unit.
Chief Superintendent Mel Adams says the police enlisted the help of the Security and Counter-Terrorism Network to investigate any potential motivation.
We really needed to dig into that, and we needed specialist support to do that. It quickly became very evident that it was not related to a hate crime or Islamophobia. In fact, the evidence points us into other lines of inquiry and other criminal elements, and that is what we continue to pursue. We keep an open mind. Our community raise their concerns with us, and we're listening.
What does Allah say?
Some Islamic leaders say the problem is they haven't been listened to in the past.
Unfortunately, we have felt very targeted over the years, and we hope to see that change, And by communication, by education, by working, hand in hand, building those bridges of understanding, it results in one thing, understanding and peace. And that's what we hope to achieve.
We need to become more proficient and get out proactively and explain to people why we do what we do, so it's not misinterpreted, and to be able to explain that too proactively as events unfold in a contemporaneous way, so it means something at the time, not in hindsight.
We're just asking that our concerns and our fears and our safety is given the same priority and equal standing as any other, person, regardless of their ethnicity, their race, or their background.